Hey everyone, welcome back to the garage. We're really excited about this episode. We have the bike 99%. We're doing fit and finish on this thing now. M7, have our graphics from them. Guts Factory seats, we're going to put that on. We're going to show you how to properly install graphics, couple tips, couple tricks with the seat and the graphics, and we're going to get this thing looking real good. Okay, so a little recap on our YZ250. We're just about to put the graphics on this thing and the seat, and that's going to be it. The bike's going to be finished. But before that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we did to this thing. We started off with the OEM bike, and we tore it right down, and we had a lot of good parts put on this thing. We had the suspension done by 26, and that was set up properly for outdoor motocross. We've got our wheels done, Excel, OEM hubs. We laced those up with our Dunlop tires. Works connection kicked in a lot of hard parts for us. So we've got our launch controls, brake reservoir covers, skid plate, a lot of cool things like that. Rad braces, really good thing to have on your bike. We decked her out in the white plastic from Acerbix through Parts Canada. Clark Fuel did the tank for us. We needed that white tank, had to get rid of that blue tank as much as we love that blue look. FMF Works exhaust, and we did the PowerCore 2 silencer. Yamaha hooked us up with some GYTR factory parts, and these things are perfect. These things are made for these bikes. They fit perfectly, and it's going to make our bike that much better fit and finish and performance-wise. Andrew Kelch, our guy at Lambton Dipping Coatings, painted our bars for us to look like those old school 7/8 Renthals that we talked about that we loved, and we did the 1 1/8" Renthal bars with that. He painted our coil for us too to match that pink color they did in 91 on these Yamahas, and he matched. So we did the GYTR clutch. The cover, hard to explain what the color is. It's like an off gray color. It's a really nice color, but that's when we went to Andrew and we had the a bunch of engine parts painted to match that, along with some of our works connection parts like our rad braces. We painted those up to match just to give it that little bit of a feel and do a little bit extra on this thing. All right, before we get to the graphics, we're going to get to the seat cover. Guts Factory seats really set this thing up. It is the perfect match color. It is a quality vinyl. They did this. The stitching is going to last a long time on this, and they got these ribs on here. I mean, it's not a gripper seat. We're going old school, right? So this thing's going to be a little greasier to sit on, but these things are going to keep us planted to this powerhouse of a bike we got here. So we're lucky enough to have brand new seat cover, brand new seat to work on. When you're doing your seat on your bike, you're going to want to inspect your foam first. You're going to take that old cover off, and this thing might be wet. It might not be even stuck to the pan. So you're going to want to dry this out or replace it, and you're going to want to epoxy it or silicone it back on some type of adhesive. You want to get that back on so this thing's stuck ready for your new cover. This is a quality seat cover, so they're pretty easy to put on, but just a couple little tips that are going to get you through it along the way. You're going to want to start on the front. You want to pull this thing over the front of the seat, and you're going to want to pull it firm, but you're not going to want to fold the top of that seat up. You're going to want to roll your fingers around, and you're going to want to get that stitching right in the groove where it's supposed to be, and you're going to want to have it centered. Then you're going to go to the back of the seat. Best way to do this, flip this inside out, get your thumbs in here, pull it up over the seat, and roll it over the back, okay? And you'll be able to know when it's centered. You got to just use anything as a guide. You can use, like, I'll use this guts patch, center of the seat. We can use the stitching down the side. Okay, now that we've done that, you're going to want a little bit of a canopy, not too much. This gut seat's really nice, how it pulls around the back, but you can get some seat covers that it's just straight fabric out, and then you're going to have to gauge how much you're going to pull that seat on, and you don't want to flex your seat because as soon as you put it on the bike, you're going to have wrinkles all through your seat. So this is nice for us, a little bit of a canopy, okay? All right, so now that we've got our seat on there and we got a nice little canopy, we're going to give it a double check. We're going to make sure she's lined up and true and in the center, okay? And to keep it like that, we don't need to riddle this thing with staples right off the hop. So just a couple staples in the front, couple staples in the rear. Okay, so we got our seat lined up. We got a couple staples in there to hold it in place. We're going to want to pull it down where the seat curves. We're going to want to give a firm pull on this and get it up over top of the foam. You'll see where the stitching is in these things. You're going to pull it around, and we're just going to do one staple here. Okay, we're going to do the same to the other side, and you want to give an even pull You'll see the stitching and all the alignment in the seat from the factory, and we're going to give her one more staple in there. Flip it over and have a look. I think that's looking pretty good right now. We'll be able to pull all this out, pull this around the side, and this thing is going to look good. So you just want to get a few staples throughout the seat just to make sure you've got it on properly, it's straight, and everything's going good. You're pulling it here, there's no wrinkles. Okay, and then you can go through and you can put your staples all the way through it. And you're going to want to keep them relatively close. They don't need to be on top of each other, but you're going to want to put a bunch of staples in this thing because they do take some abuse. These things get moved around a lot as you're sitting on it, and you want to make sure it's not going to fall off. Okay, so we got our seat looking good. It's straight, it's perfect. This thing looks awesome, man. These guys build a quality seat. This thing went on perfect. It's probably the easiest seat I've ever put on. I'm going to buy seats from these guys from now on. Don't be afraid when you go through and after you put your staples on, I always like to take these brackets off. Then you can get, instead of trying to force your stapler in there, but don't be afraid just to trim off a little bit of the excess fabric when you're done there so you make sure your seat slides on perfectly. You don't want to have to fight with your seat every time you got to change an air filter, okay? So trim off the excess fabric and make sure to put your staples in. They don't be on top of each other. I don't know, leave half an inch in between each staple and make sure you got everything bitten down good on there. It's tight. It's taut. This thing looks awesome. So we're going to set this thing to the side and we're going to put on our graphics. All right, so we're at my favorite part of the project. We're going to put our graphic kit on. We got this graphic kit from M7 and this thing looks perfect. Basically gave them free rein for a 91 and said design it. They threw back a kit at us and we loved it. We didn't change anything on this. Okay, so if you're a first-time graphic installer, couple tricks, simple things, heat one of these. If you don't have one, go get one. You can use a hair dryer. I like a heat gun on a low setting. You don't want to melt the graphic, but you want to heat this thing up so it's pliable and it bends around all those curves. Everyone knows when you get the exhaust side, your muffler side of your bike, and those side panels have those curves in them, you're going to want to be able to wrap that thing around. So just like in one of our earlier episodes, we talked about keeping the things warm. So when we change our tires, my laundry room is right off my garage door. I plan my laundry around tire change day and graphic install day. So these graphics, I set them on my dryer, put a load of laundry in. These things are going to be nice and warm, and that's going to give them that bend we need to get on our plastic properly. Some people like to take the plastic off the bike to put these on. I don't agree with that method, especially when we've got two pieces and we're going to want everything to line up perfectly, okay? I'm going to clean this thing up. Fingerprints, dirt, wash your bike good. Just glass cleaner. Any type of glass cleaner, anything that evaporates quickly. This is why you want clean hands, because you are touching these things. Now we've got curves here, we've got curves here. People are gonna get nervous, and I'm gonna show you a little trick right now, because once this thing's stuck, it's stuck, okay? Glass cleaner. Spray a little bit on the graphic, and the only reason you're gonna use glass cleaner is because when you apply the heat to it, this stuff's gonna evaporate quickly. This is gonna allow us to slide this around here, and once we hit it with the heat, and that glass cleaner evaporates, this thing's gonna stick perfect. So I can line up everything exactly like I want. Just follow the lines of the body panel. Okay? It's that little squeegee we talked about. I'm gonna put a little bit of buffer on there. I don't wanna scratch these graphics out. And as I squeege this down, I'm gonna push out that Windex. Glass cleaner, I'm using Windex here, but any type of glass cleaner will work fine. Okay, so now we've got basically a platform for that. We're gonna hit it with some low heat. Just finished up the graphics on our YZ250. Super excited how this bike turned out. Last thing to do is put this seat on here, but I'd like to thank everybody involved in this project. And we're going to give you a sneak peek of this, but you're going to want to stay tuned to next episode InsideX to see the real deal. Roodz Garage, signing off.